What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Today we have a very special show. We're doing the Banter show. We're doing LAFC versus LA Galaxy fans. As you guys know, there's a U.S. Open Cup game Wednesday at Dignity Health Sports Park. It's gonna be exciting, and this is not just for bragging rights. If the loser of this team goes home and doesn't continue the aspirations of winning a trophy, but that's gonna take place on Wednesday. And today's all about the fans. So representing the blue corner, we got Chris Maldonado from the Galaxy Guide podcast. And we got JR representing the black corner from Defenders of the Bank. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been a very crazy start of the season. Things have been up and down like a roller coaster for the LA Galaxy. But when has form ever mattered for an El Trafico game, right? Especially when the stakes are so high. Form has never really ever mattered, right? The Galaxy's been doing they haven't been doing very great, but I don't think that's going to matter. Everything's going to go out the door on Wednesday, and we're going to see a really, really good game.
Hey, well, that's what we hope for. JR, how you doing, my brother? How you been?
I'm good, my man. As you can see, I'm still right back here at work. Actually, this is the home of where we recorded the first 5 or 6 episodes of Defenders of the Bank quite a while ago. So we're back at the OG grounds, and Chris is absolutely right. Galaxy have to throw the records out when it comes into the form coming into this match and the season they've had so far. But the other unfortunate part is he's right. We also haven't beaten them at Carson yet. So the beauty of it is it's going to be the most exciting Open Cup game that Los Angeles has ever seen. And I'm really excited about LAFC's chances coming into the match.
Yeah, there's so many just different things. We're gonna get Carlos, the second version of part 2 of Carlos Vela versus Chicharito. You also got Chicho Rango. You also got Douglas Costa. So a lot of superstar talent when it comes to LA. When it comes to both of these two teams. So for some of those that haven't seen this show, this segment, how it goes, purely banter. Both of these guys know each other, get after each other. So I'm gonna play a clip if you guys haven't been able to watch how this goes down.
3 losses,
Bruh,
3 losses
in 10 games.
That's the biggest game.
In 10 games, we're still your puppy. No
No,
matter
by
what.
one game, by
We're
one game, by
We're
one
still your
game,
puppy.
by one game,
Ona,
by one
Ona.
game, that would be Dan Kennedy, the guy who's played more Chivas games than anything else. So all you've done is take the sloppy seconds from Chivas and bring them over to Carson.
I did play for Chivas USA Academy when I was younger.
Okay.
I've been to LAFC games. They're nothing alike.
But for any LAFC fans out there that may have not have completed the 3rd grade, don't know what this is a map. It's called a map. Is Carson. Mm-hmm. You see that? We are the Los Angeles Galaxy, not the Los Angeles.
A majority of Galaxy fans can tell you that they consider San Jose against the Galaxy a bigger rivalry than LAFC versus LA Galaxy.
I know they had Bex. He's one of my favorite players of all time. And Donovan, obviously, American hero over there. I just couldn't get into it. That's just my honest opinion.
Had to go and get those players. And yes, Galaxy has been there and they have been through the trenches. And I'm sorry you're still in the trenches.
So obviously, I think that might have been the first one. Historic, classic, hilarious. But yeah, since that happened, JR, what are your thoughts on Chris and all the stuff he's been doing on social media?
I mean, wait, are we talking about this picture? Is it this one, Chris? Hold on, let me see. Hold on. Here. Is it this one that we're talking about?
Hey, oh my goodness.
I have a question, Chris. I have a question. Okay.
Yes, you can hang it on your fridge.
How bad? Oh, believe me, it's been up on my fridge. I look at it all the time. My new favorite LAFC fan. I have to be honest with you. To put the Herbalife sash across my chest, you would have to tell me that in order to do that, I'd be curing cancer. I'd be sending kids to college. I'd be not filming a poop joke video, filming a video where I just want to know, what was your cameraman thinking? What were all the supporters of the Galaxy Guy podcast thinking? Nothing at all, unless you told me I was curing cancer or sending kids to college or something amazing would have me put the Herbalife stash on my chest.
Here's the difference, right? And JR, you and I have had this discussion before. Our very first meeting together on Gio's show, you told me about having lived in LA practically your entire life. You knew of soccer, you taught soccer at a youth level, yet you never really supported local soccer, the Galaxy, right? Since the Galaxy's been in LA for 26 years. So I have supported the Galaxy since 1996, since the inception, right? So to me, being a fan doesn't really the cloth, the cotton, the material, the branding that you wear on your skin doesn't make you a fan. A fan is a fan if you support the club through thick and thin, which is something that I have done since 1996. So, parody video, it was silly, it was fun. I had a lot of fun with it.
I'm glad you had fun, Chris. I'll be honest with you. I appreciate what you're trying to say, but your own people didn't even want you to do it, my man. You got so much. I felt bad for you.
20 trolls on Reddit, Instagram,
because
Twitter. Twitter's not real life.
You talk about support isn't with the clothes that you wear. So let me ask you a question then. If that's the case, why not wear an LAFC jersey to the next LAFC Galaxy match? Because we know, look, you've supported them through thick and thin.
I'll tell you what. I will wear this shirt right here to the next game. Okay, I will show my support for the OG Galaxy rival.
I would love for you to wear that instead of a Galaxy jersey for a game. I don't think you're.
Let's not forget the roots.
Chris, put down the shovel. It's not helping. Put down the shovel, my friend. This is rough. I feel bad seeing you like this. This is.
Look at that. That is a man that is secure in his fandom enough to wear an opposing team's jersey shirt. $10 on Amazon, by the way. That is a man that is so secure in his fandom.
I gotta ask, what? I didn't watch the whole video, but why clown nose and why the LAFC shirt?
Because that's the usual attire for an LAFC fan.
Yeah, no, Chris, I'm sorry, man. The joke didn't land, it didn't work out. But let's another joke.
Now with the 32-52.
The way that the Galaxy played over the last 6 you guys beat us. So over your last 6 matches, because you guys beat us. Let's be clear about that. But that being said, you guys haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game other than the Cal United Strikers FC. I won't even count Open Cup. You guys haven't scored more than 1 goal in an MLS match since you beat us 2-1, which was great. Good job. You've been outscored by 3 goals. You've gone 2-2. And I don't want to say this, but if not for Chicharito, the club is a hot mess right now. You guys know that while you do have, I think 7 different goal scorers on the season, only one player that scored a goal for you has actually also assisted on a goal. That's Sasha Klestin, and he's only got 1 of each. Your offense is not dynamic. Your offense is stale and it's static. Your defense is actually solid. I can't be upset about your defense because you're giving up about a goal a game, which, look, that's great. But you're making Jonathan Bond work so hard. And I'm glad you guys shored up the Swiss cheese that was your guys' back line last year, because it's much better this year. But, oh, man, going to a 0-0, watching a 0-0 Chicago game or a 3-0 Houston game like some of your fans did for at least the first 70 minutes before they walked out, all the tweets were as the game was going on. I'm worried about the Galaxy's vaunted offense with Douglas Costa and Chicharito and oh, wait, I'm done. That's it. That's the only guys I'd be worried about.
Perfect.
Give me a second. If you guys are having, it looks like there's some lag issues. I don't know if you guys are experiencing lag. Okay, it says it's clear. Antonio says it's finally clear. They said there was audio issues. Give it a refresh, guys. But Chris, the rebuttal. Let's hear the rebuttal.
Sure. So it's not a shocker to see LAFC in such a high standing as they are currently in the league, because if you look at their schedule, their first game of the season was against Colorado. They're not a playoff team. Colorado is Colorado. They're a poop team. They couldn't beat Portland, who is currently outside of the playoff picture. They had a terrible start to their season. They only scored 1 goal in that match. They tied Portland 1-1. Portland is a dumpster fire of a team at the start of the season. Then LAFC goes to Miami and beats them 2-0. Okay, great. You guys beat Miami. My Sunday league team could probably beat Miami, right? At the start of the season. They were an absolute dumpster fire of the team. Then LAFC beats Vancouver 3-1. Great. Vancouver's the worst team in the league. Good job. You guys beat the worst team in the league. By the way, I was at that game. I wasn't impressed, right? LAFC goes on to beat Orlando. Great. Orlando's like a decent team. We'll give you credit for that. You beat them in Orlando. Then you go on to play the Galaxy in Carson. You lose yet again. You are still yet to beat the Galaxy at Carson. Sorry, my friend, but that's just the reality. Then you go on to beat SKC. SKC is a dumpster fire of a team. They're off to the worst start in franchise history in recent memory that I can think of. Sporting KC is a shell of their former selves. Good job. You guys beat SKC. Great. It's like kicking a dog while it's down. You guys then went on to beat Cincinnati 2-1. Narrow victory against Cincinnati. Great. Good job. Cincinnati is also a dumpster fire of a team. Talk about an easy schedule. Talk about an easy start to your season. You guys then beat Minnesota 2-0. As far as I'm concerned, Minnesota, as it stands, they're not a playoff team currently, right? And it's Minnesota. They're a mediocre team at best.
That's the team you tied 1-1 before losing to Houston, right? That's the team you tied 1-1 before you lost to Houston?
Great job so far. Great job so far. But listen, all the other upper heads at MLS are all patting each other in the back right now because they get to keep you guys up #1 in the power rankings for yet another week. So congratulations.
Oh, so now it's all of MLS that wants us above.
Congratulations.
I thought you guys are the darling franchise, first to 5 since '96. You're Los Angeles' crown.
This man knows his history.
Right? So I just didn't know, Gio, did you want him to go through all of LAFC's schedule for the whole season, or was this like a show where we're going to talk about both the teams? I just wasn't sure. He can sit here and talk about all of LAFC's schedule. I can ask him about what happened against an up-and-coming Dallas team where you got blitzed 3-0 out of the gate. I can ask you about a Houston
You mean the number 2 team in the league?
No, sure. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so now hold on. There are such things as moral victories in these 3-1. You got blitzed out of the gate, my friend. The Galaxy did not come to play. The Galaxy did not come to play against
had a
Houston.
Harder schedule than LAFC by far, my
Cal
friend.
United Strikers and San Diego Loyal. That was really tough. We've beaten last year's USL champs and that MLS team that you said we couldn't beat before. We've played actual teams to get to this game in the Open Cup. You guys are playing the San Diego Loyal and Cal. I think was it DeVries?
According to your very own head coach, we won the most important game of the season, which was the Chirundolo Cup, which was the 2-1 victory for the LA Galaxy. We won the most important game of the season. That's all that matters, right?
Always be looking in the rear view mirror. The Galaxy sell their history where LAFC sells the present and the future.
JR, so let me ask you something. Does history matter?
History absolutely matters. History has repeated itself several times.
I'm glad you say that. I'm glad you said that, JR.
What I'm excited about is that we have only played you guys in one elimination game, one win and go on, lose and you're out game. And that was a 5-3 drubbing. And that was a playoff match. That was the most important match between the two clubs so far. And I'm going to go ahead and say that even though this isn't an MLS playoff match, that this is probably the second most important match that we will ever play against you because, again, it's a knockout match. And this one I'll say is even more important for us to do well, LAFC, since it's at your place, the place where we have yet to beat you guys.
Sure. Now,
let's talk about that. Hold on. Yeah. Let's talk about that because it's big stakes. Big stakes for both teams, right? As we know, obviously, as of now, the LAFC has not won over there. And obviously, Galaxy, like this game does not matter who's in form or who's not because it's a derby. It's that what with all the struggles Galaxy are currently having, Chris. What would this win mean? Obviously, being your guys' biggest opponent, which is LAFC, but what would this win mean for the Galaxy on Wednesday?
Listen, this win would mean a lot for the fans, right? Because it's a rivalry game. It's against LAFC. But really, in the broader picture of things, this win would mean the absolute world for LAFC. It would mean 1,000 times more for LAFC than it would for Galaxy fans. Galaxy fans see a win here. It's just going to be like, great, business as usual. Galaxy won. Good job. LAFC would probably host a parade in Exposition Park if they beat the Galaxy on Wednesday. Because listen, I'm glad JR mentioned history, and I'm glad he agrees that history matters because if you look back at the entirety of this rivalry, Chivas USA existed in the league from 2005 October to October of 2014 when it dissolved. In the 10-year time period, the LA Galaxy and Chivas met a total of 34 times in the Super Classico before it was the El Trafico. In those 34 matches, JR, the Galaxy thumped Chivas a total of 22 times. 22. They drew 8 games and Chivas USA only won a grand total of 4. I can count that with one hand. 4 matches in total in over a decade. In fact, during the final 6 seasons that the Chivas USA existed in MLS, they managed to beat the Galaxy only once in a 1 0 narrow wins. So this
Sorry,
is
Chris,
nothing
I'm
new.
trying to stay awake.
The
Are we talking
Galaxy
about
has
anything
owned
that's
LAFC and its
currently?
previous iterations for 15 years now, JR.
Let me
15 years the
let me
Galaxy
ask
is
JR.
dominant.
Let me ask JR the same thing.
Can I just ask one quick question, Gio? You
Yeah, go
asked him
ahead.
a question about the Galaxy, right? And he's
I was
talking
gonna ask you
about
the same.
LAFC and
I was gonna ask you the
Chivas.
same thing. What
Yeah.
would this mean for LAFC? Obviously, finally
Sure.
to be able to beat them there in Dignity Health Sports Park, and on top of that, you'd be knocking them out because both teams have trophy aspirations. One team's not winning a trophy on Wednesday. They're going to find out Wednesday night that one of them is not going to win a trophy.
Well, look, let's be
Or have the
clear. First of all,
opportunity.
I don't need to start any answer with 4 and 7 years ago, talking about all the history and everything that my guy Chris wants to, but it would mean a lot for several reasons. Number one, it doesn't matter if it's a pickup game down at Great Park in Irvine, that it's not even televised. If a team has on the black and gold and another team has on the Herbalife sash, I don't care. It means something when you beat them. Throw into that the fact that we have not won an Open Cup before. We have yet to win a trophy other than the 2019 Supporters Shield. And I know that Open Cups matter to Carson because they have them put up on their wall because they've won a few of them. So they can't say it doesn't matter to them because right next to the championships they've won, they've got an Open Cup years there as well. Any Galaxy fan that wants to say that this game doesn't matter is kidding themselves. In fact, the way that the Galaxy have played over the last 3, 4, 5 matches, this would almost be that season redeemer, that jump start that they need on this roller coaster of a season right now. This is the direction that it's going for Carson. So for any Carson fan to be able to latch on to something like they are over a 3-2 comeback victory over the Cal United Strikers, or a moral victory that Chris is talking about, well, we only lost 3-1 to the second best team in the Really? That's your answer for what happened when you guys played Dallas and got blitzed? What about Houston? They're not the second best team in the league. They're barely a playoff team, if that, this season. There's no moral victories. And to be honest, we put a lot of stock into this match and every match we play against Carson, and yet somehow Carson looks down at us for caring about a rivalry match. This Open Cup match means that we move on, they don't, and they have to read about it in the papers. Absolutely, it matters.
Yeah, I would say it 100% matters. Chris, let me ask you this just to go a little bit back, because I think you said when you went to make that video at the Bank of California, that was your first time at the stadium. It brings up the image for those who are now watching.
Video, right?
Put that up on your refrigerator, JR. Or so at better yet, have it blown up and put it up in your bedroom.
For those he's putting up images of Chris with
man,
the
that's sexy, man.
That's our crest.
I make your crest look sexy, JR.
So when you went there, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts of the stadium? What were your thoughts of LAFC fans overall? What'd you think of the whole experience there?
Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. The stadium itself is nice. It's a standard MLS stadium. Okay. It's brand new. It still had that brand new stadium smell, you know. Jokes aside about the smell, right? I mean, as like the $50 parking, JR, let's talk about that $50 parking. I mean, you guys talk about this grassroots movement, and you guys aren't corporate, and you guys are all about the money. But listen, $50 for parking?
Gio, we've talked about Chivas and parking. What are we doing here, Gio? We're talking about Chivas and parking.
So here's the deal, right? It's funny.
What do you think of this? What do you think of the whole experience? Would you go back? Would you go back to the bank?
Oh, absolutely. I would go back. But listen, I saw a lot of people in costume, which kind of threw me off a little bit. I saw too many people wearing costumes. It was a little bit silly, right? I mean, this is the guy that was wearing the clown nose, right? But it seemed a little bit silly to me that people were wearing costumes at a soccer game, you know, and I get it. You are, I mean, these are people that are probably soccer fans for the first time ever in their lives. They really don't know about what it is to be a real soccer fan. So they assume that it's wearing these elaborate outfits. Is just ridiculous to see that. But
like a gizmo costume, like a gizmo outfit. I'm just curious. You have a mascot.
You mean mascots? Yeah, those are things in professional sports. They pay those people to wear costumes.
Yeah.
JR, what are your thoughts on what Chris had to say about obviously super fans? Obviously LAFC has a bunch of super fans. What are your thoughts on how you guys represent you guys as self within the community and at the Bank of California Stadium?
Look, I think that the atmosphere at Bank of California Stadium rivals atmospheres outside of the United States. I think you look at certain places in Liga MX, certain places in Europe. I'm with you. I think that if you take a supporter, a soccer fan, not of Galaxy, not of Carson, and you take them to Carson versus, let's say, I don't know, Houston, Minnesota, Dallas, Chicago, any of the teams you played, take them against a non-rivalry game, and you take that same fan to see LAFC play that same team, I firmly believe that at least 90% of the fans are going to talk more about the experience they had at LAFC, both the product on the pitch, the experience in the stands. And look, you're absolutely right. If you want to talk about $50 parking, sure, we have expensive parking. We have expensive seats, but so do you guys. Let's be clear. What we do at our stadium is a wholly different experience week in and week out than what Galaxy supporters experience at their stadium. Except, I want to give you guys credit for something, Chris. The crowd, the fans, the supporters at our last rivalry match at your place was the best. I've been to MLS Cups at your stadium. I've been to international friendlies at your stadium. This was the first time where I truly felt that the Galaxy fans rose and met and surpassed the moment from what was even going on there on the pitch. And I feel that it's taken 5 years, but what I love now is that it should be an expectation that every single time that Herbalife travels north or that we travel south, that's the level of expectation that we have helped over the last 4 years raise the bar for what goes on in the Victoria block.
Is there anything like that? Would you agree with that or disagree that the LAFC have helped raise the bar with the Galaxy fans?
Absolutely, I would agree with that, JR. All the trash talking aside, the having LAFC come into the league has ignited the passion in a lot of our fans. It's one of the most exciting games of the season every time we have an El Trafico at home. It's one of the most exciting experiences. But going back to JR's point about LAFC and their stadium, their game day experience being something that is so far beyond MLS, comparable to soccer outside of the U.S. JR, that's a very bold statement. I mean, do you guys really do something that's really that special? I mean, I was there. I was with the 3252. You guys play drums. You guys dance. You guys cheer. You guys yell. Listen, there's nothing unique going on there. I mean, it might feel unique to you as a super fan of LAFC, but there is absolutely nothing unique going on there. You guys are doing the exact same thing that every other football club in MLS has been doing for over 2 decades, right?
See, here's
and
where
it's
I think
nothing
you're wrong,
unique.
because you've been around since '96, so you've had a chance to see all the different clubs, right?
Yeah.
You tell me how many other clubs. I'm not saying other clubs aren't doing it, right? But you tell me how many other clubs are providing an atmosphere at their arenas, at their stadiums, at their parks, the way that LAFC is doing. I'm not saying LAFC is something so far head and shoulders above. I'm not saying that LAFC is doing something so groundbreaking. We've learned, we've taken
Seattle.
Wait. Atlanta that plays in a football stadium, Seattle that plays in a football stadium.
Soccer
right?
is soccer, man. You can play.
No, sure.
Like you said, you can play soccer at the Orange County Great Park. I mean, the fans are the fans, right?
Inter Miami right now, who barely gets 14,000 people. They're not providing an atmosphere. They're providing a venue to go watch guys run around in pink and black and play soccer. You're telling me that Chicago, which by the way, you couldn't score against, Chicago at Soldier Field, this hallowed ground of sports in the United States, they don't provide an atmosphere. DC United doesn't provide an atmosphere. Houston doesn't provide an atmosphere. So few clubs do that when we talk about the atmosphere that we provide, it must be something total. No, but look around the league that we have. Look at the support that we have been able to galvanize, not having 2 separate sections, not have cheering 2 different cheers at the same time, but galvanize in the last 5 years. You can say that some of our fans have just caught on to soccer, but you know that that's not true. You know that we have plenty of supporters that have come from Carson. We have plenty of supporters that came from Chivas, that we have plenty of supporters that have come from plenty of other supporters around the league. So now that we've galvanized them, not just in the 3252, but in 22,000 people sold out every single game, you're telling me that that's not something that is different than many of the other clubs doing around the league? Come on. Come on.
I gotta
man.
ask. Give me a second. I gotta ask because he mentioned something good. So, Chris, do you know any Galaxy fans that have gone over to the other side? And what are your thoughts? And if you do or you don't, but still, what are your thoughts on that?
Not true fans, really. Not true fans. I mean,
How come?
a true Galaxy fan, right? You don't have to be an original 96er like myself or Tony Toscano, who's in the chat room there. You don't have to be an original 96 fan, right? But most Galaxy fans have been there at the inception when the league wasn't very attractive. There weren't the big name signings before the Beckhams, when the league was just kind of barely semi-amateur level in comparison to what it is now. It wasn't very attractive. It wasn't on all the major TV networks. You can't just turn on and watch a game. You had to buy the games in a separate package that was very expensive. It wasn't very attractive, right? Those people have stuck it out. Those are true fans. But when you have people that have lived in LA like JR and never gave the Galaxy a second chance, but all of a sudden when the league is now attractive and there's all these superstar signings and the level of play is more competitive, they get this brand new team. All of a sudden they're the biggest fans on planet Earth. That to me doesn't scream real soccer fan. That to me screams, listen, this is exciting and this is new. I'm gonna join. And
okay, let me ask you, JR. So he's essentially saying that you're not a real soccer fan because you haven't been through the thick and thin. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, look, my reply to that is he knows that that's not true because of the conversations that we have had prior to this. But that being said, he talks about how I never gave the Galaxy a second chance. I've been to dozens of games pre-LAFC. I've been to games post-LAFC. I have gone to Galaxy games to watch other teams play. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy the sport. And I enjoy the sport whether it's down at Great Park. I enjoy whether it's at Carson. I enjoy the sport at Bank California Stadium, at the Rose Bowl, at the Coliseum. It doesn't matter where. But what you have shown is the thing that we know, all the Galaxy fans who have been there either since 96 or over the past 10 years, whatever you want to say, Chris, no one has quote unquote jumped on that bandwagon since 2018 if they're just judging the two clubs based on how they've performed since we have been in the league. Since we have been in the league, we have vastly outperformed the Galaxy. Now, do they have any trophies to show for it? Not so much. Do we have a trophy? We have a supporters shield. But look, we measure ourselves based on MLS Cups, right? We can win 5 or 6 or 7 supporter shields in a row, and it would be even worse if we don't win an MLS Cup based on that. So what I always love is we get to think, oh, you guys are plastic fans, you're bandwagon fans. No, we started with something that was new, and we found a place to put all of our soccer supportership, all of our fandom, all of our energy. We found something that spoke to us a little bit more than what we had here, quote unquote, since 96, after giving it try after try after try for the first 20 years.
The number one thing that I hear from LAFC fans is that they didn't give the Galaxy a second chance because of the location, which is Carson. That's the number one excuse that I hear for not becoming Galaxy fans. You know what? Carson is too far. It didn't appeal to me, right? See, that is a very, very sad and sorry excuse because
who said that tonight? You're bringing that up.
You said that during the first show, JR. You said Carson is a bad location for a soccer team. You guys have to remember that we weren't always. Is it worse than Pasadena? No, it's not. Pasadena was a horrible location for a soccer team, and yet Galaxy fans still managed to make that trek all the way to Pasadena. They were with the team during that time. They were with the team when they decided to move to Carson, and they're still sticking with the team now. There are people in third world countries that will travel 3 to 4 hours to go watch their favorite soccer team on foot, right? Those are true soccer fans, but 13 miles, boo-hoo, it was a little inconvenient for me, guys. Carson, it's not Exposition Park, so I really couldn't support the Galaxy. I mean, come on, that's
all right. Let me say something.
So what I'm hearing, Gio, real quick.
Hold on, give me a second. Guys in the comments, does location matter? Does location matter where the team stadium is at? If you guys, people in the chat, let me know that. But I want to ask you, JR, because obviously we already mentioned that. Obviously, we know LAFC have yet to win at Dignity Health Sports Park. But as you guys are currently on top of the table in MLS. what are your thoughts about the LA Galaxy as a team? Regardless, when you look at Chicharito, they have Douglas Costa, Kevin Cabral, Grant Sir, Greg Vanny as a head coach. What as an LAFC fan, being at the top of the table, what is your overall thoughts of this LA Galaxy team?
Look, I'm not a person who just trashes Carson to trash Carson, but I think that if you ask any of their fans right now, they're worried about their performance this season. Even when, I mean, look, they're not far behind us, right? They're 6 points back, right? 6 points back. But if you look at the way that they play with no originality in their offense. They play with, they tally so few assists on their goals. There's such little passing that goes on. If they didn't have Chicharito, right, they would have only scored 7 goals as a team all season because they've had Chicharito score 5 and they've had a player from Bill Tuiloma from Portland score 1 for them. Other than that, they have 7 goals all season. This is a team devoid of offensive creativity. This is a team that relies so heavily on Jonathan Bond and a very well remade back line. My thought is very simple. The way that LAFC has been playing all season, the fact that we have 13 different goal scorers, 8 different players who have provided an assist, and 7 of those players have done both. We have a variety on offense. We have a creativity in the way that we play. And even when we lose, we're creating more chances. But when I watch Galaxy, because I do watch their games, I just don't see any offensive creativity. You're relying on Douglas Costa to stay healthy. You're relying on Chicharito to poach goals. And unfortunately, it's not something that is sustainable over the course of the season. And I think we're starting to see that right now. And the best thing that could happen for Carson right now is this international break, this 3 weeks where they can regroup and pick up the pieces and see what's going on with their offense.
Interesting point, because there is an international break after this weekend. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to, after this weekend, because I think it's the last weekend of MLS after the Open Cup. Chris, I got to ask you the same thing. What are your thoughts about, because we know last season Galaxy were at the top of the table, LAFC had struggles, but as we know in the MLS, it doesn't matter how you start, because both of these teams didn't make the playoffs last season.
Right.
But it matters how you finish. What are your thoughts about this LAFC team with Carlos Vela, Chicho Rango?
What is LAFC's record when they're without Carlos Vela, right? And versus when they are with Carlos Vela. Carlos Vela is on his final legs this season, and we've seen it. I get it, 6 goals, but how many of those goals were reminiscent of the first goals he was scoring when he first joined the league, right? It hasn't been the same. He's a shell of his former self. Plenty of those goals have been from the penalty spot, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think 2 or 3 of those goals have been from the penalty spot. LAFC is like smoke and mirrors, right? And we've seen it season after season where they start hot and, oh my God, they're just killing it. They're scoring goals for fun and, they're top of the table. And then at the end of the season, it's just a cloud of smoke, right? That's LAFC. The last 5 seasons that they've been in the league, they have amounted to nothing. So it's a mentality thing with LAFC players, and I think that they showed it earlier in the season when they played against the Galaxy. The Galaxy, again, form hasn't really reflected the results, right? But when they played against LAFC, they stepped up to the occasion and they gave LAFC a thumping. I have a feeling, I don't know, JR, I'm feeling pretty confident that on Wednesday, it's going to be a lot of the same. And LAFC is going to revert back to that mentality of, you know what, we're second fiddle in LA and we have to play up to their game. The Galaxy just going to do what the Galaxy does, what the Galaxy's been doing for the last 15 years, which is thump you guys. So, I mean,
okay. So let me get this straight. In the last 5 years, we've made the playoffs more than you have, right? But it doesn't matter, right? Because your eventual statement is going to be, but how many MLS Cups have we won, right? I know where you're going with this. And my question is, if we turn it around on its head, let me ask you just a very general question. Over the last 5 years since we've come into the league, has LAFC not been a more successful team on the pitch than Carson has?
How do you define success as a soccer team professional league? Because at the end of the day, you define success by what you can put in your trophy case at the end of the day, and you guys can't even claim that you guys have any trophies in the trophy case. I know some of your fans are incorrect when they say that you guys have the supporter shield. That's incorrect because that trophy travels around the country to different states, different teams, different clubs year after year, right? Unless you win it back to back, but it doesn't belong to one single team. So still, you guys all you guys have to prove and show for is, well, you know what? We scored a lot of goals. So what? So what? At the end of the season,
I wish I could see his shoes because he's got his tap dancing shoes on. Every direct question I ask is,
barefoot, man.
but wait,
I'm
there's
showing
this
my
other
underwear.
thing. I don't want to see that.
You got
Believe
your
me.
tap dancing shoes.
I saw enough. This is enough for me. This is all I need.
Damn,
Good,
look
bud.
at that jawline. Oof.
Hey, JR came prepared with the props
Well, usually
today.
he's got all his props and
Yeah,
everything
you bring your
else.
props today, Chris?
I just thought I'd just bring the one prop that I need. The other guy in our crest. That's all you need.
Man, look at that. Anyway, the point stands, JR, and you know it's true. And you yourself rebutted yourself when you said, I know what you're going to say next. You're going to say we have nothing but dust in our trophy case. It's true. You guys have gone as far as placing a banner at your stadium that says 2019 Supporters Shield winners, which is kind of sad because
You've
you guys
put
don't
up
really
the Supporters Shield
Oh.
wins at your stadium too, Chris. Do you want me to show them to you?
But there are trophies in our trophy case, though. That's the
But
difference.
hold on. You were talking about the same thing or different things? This is you. You like to put an apple here and say, but look how good this orange looks. This is great. I try to compare apples to apples, and it's always, well, okay, but what it's really defined by is just hilarious.
All right, let me ask you guys this, because last game, some people feel like there was a controversial call, whatever. It went to VAR. It looks like they apparently got it right. But JR, let me ask you, how do you feel about the refs? Because we just got to talk about the refs when you
Sure.
guys play the LA Galaxy. What are your thoughts on the refs and all that situation? Because I don't think anybody wants it to go to a VAR call or anything like that. But how do you feel? Because it looks like online some fans feel like there may or may not be some unfair treatment by the refs when the LAFC
Nah,
Galaxy play.
look, I'll be real. If anybody is blaming the refs on LAFC not winning or they're being biased against LAFC or for Carson, whatever, I don't buy any of that. Look, I think that the problem is pro refereeing itself as an entity. I think it affects LAFC just as much as it affects almost every other club out there. I think that the officiating is bad. I think that the fact that we know Ishmael Elfath and Chris Penso and all these, the fact that we know their names is a real problem because we shouldn't. And look, the letter of the law, the calls that were made against us last game that didn't go our way is actually correct. I think the problem may be with how vaguely the offside rule is written and how much interpretation there has to be. I don't think refereeing should have 1 ounce of effect on the way that these two teams play each other and who wins or who loses. Now, you can't help when the refs blow a call. You can't help when the refs give a red that shouldn't be a red. Now a team's down a man. Or you can't help when the refs go to VAR and somehow that ref interprets something completely differently. I am not going to sit here and make one excuse for LAFC, and I don't think any other team should be able to look their other supporters respectfully in the face and say, oh, no, guys, it's okay for the refs. Bull. We settle it out on the pitch, and if by chance the referees are the ones who influence the decision, okay, that happens. But I am never going to sit here for a rivalry game, for a derby, or for any other match. I don't care if we're playing against DeVry. It doesn't matter we just shouldn't be talking about the referees.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
I want to bring it up because it pops up all the time, and I would agree. I just don't think. I think the level in MLS, like player wise, coaching, GM has gone up, but I just don't think the refereeing has evolved as everything else in the league. But Chris, what are your thoughts? Because I know there's also controversial calls that happen with the LA Galaxy. What are your thoughts on the refereeing calls and stuff? And people in the chat also, what do you guys feel about the refs and stuff? Comment below. But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not a secret that pro refs are these guys should play with blindfolds on, and it's probably no change whatsoever in their officiating, right? They're known for it. So listen, but the last game we can all agree it was a fair call, right? After the explanation came out, the different angles, the way the pro refs kind of set that up, we can agree that it was fair. But I agree with JR. The refereeing, the calls, they should, be as fair as possible when it comes to these big El Trafico games. So hopefully we don't see any controversy on Wednesday. Hopefully it's a good, clean game and everybody plays to the best of their ability and we see a really good competitive game.
And for the record, Gio, I do still think that should have been a goal by Latif at the end because of the interpretation between, oh, did he make a defensive maneuver on the ball? Did he make an active play or whatever? I forget the actual term. But either way, I still think it should have been a goal. But the description that they gave the next day, I agree with it if that's how it's being interpreted. I think the problem is the rule, not the fact that it happened in a LA derby.
Yeah, no. And I like that one thing I guess I did like is when they showed the call or whatever, they showed the voice communication back and forth with the ref and VAR.
Sure.
I just feel that should be throughout every MLS game when it goes to VAR, so you could actually hear after the call is made when they went back and forth. Kind of like the NBA when you're like, okay, it's not a no call, no foul, whatever.
They can't do that because it would throw so many of their referees week in and week out under a bus.
Probably, but I just feel like that transparency right then and there kind of goes a long way. But moving forward, Chris, what would this win mean on Wednesday for you and the rest of Galaxy Nation?
It's going to feel good. It's going to feel really good. It's going to feel extra good because it's a U.S. Open Cup game. There's something worth playing for, right? I mean, Open Cups aren't really a big deal anymore. They've kind of become irrelevant. But it's a rivalry game, and it's going to feel good. But like I said earlier during the show, it's going to feel 1,000 times better for LAFC if they win this game. It's going to feel like an MLS Cup for them, right? If they win this. For the Galaxy, it's just going to be like, okay, great. It's just business as usual. We won, great. We're happy. Let's have a great week. I don't know. You can tell me I'm wrong, JR, but I'm right. For this, LAFC wins this game on Wednesday. I'm guaranteeing it. They're gonna have a parade at Exposition Park, and they're gonna go and they're gonna freaking have the mayor of LA out there, and they're gonna be popping champagne bottles, guaranteed.
We will feel better.
Is he being crazy, or is he saying wild things over here?
No, look. Will we feel good about beating Carson? Absolutely. And I don't care if it's a parade at Exposition Park, or I don't care if it's just hanging out at a restaurant with a bunch of LAFC fans enjoying the fact that we knocked out Carson for the second time that we've played him in a knockout match. But the fact that you're sitting there downplaying what a victory to move on in our nation's most grassroots tournament, something that's been played over 100 times, that literally any team with $10,000, 11 guys in a uniform can participate in. I mean, can you imagine if the Cal United Strikers FC would have somehow been able to avoid that 3-2 defeat? If they would have been able to hold on, they would be printing commemorative editions of the newspaper down there in Irvine for when it happened, not just because they beat the Galaxy, but because they beat an MLS club. But then you put it on the pedestal of, since 96 and a team that's won this before. Absolutely. So what you're saying is, no. Just because you win, don't get excited, Chris. Your fans, let me tell you what they would do if they beat us on Wednesday. You hear this giant exhale throughout the whole city of Carson because they are so worried. Go on Twitter, go on any of your social media groups. They are so worried about Galaxy's run of form coming into this match that they are hoping and praying that you are right, Chris. And I think you will be right, that the Galaxy will raise their bar when they see the black and gold.
Are you not a little worried about LAFC's recent run of form, though? I mean,
no.
Really?
You mean the victory that we had over the Crew 2-0 on the road with a bunch of injuries and a makeshift lineup? You mean that one?
I mean, the last couple of weeks for LAFC haven't been the best, right?
Yeah, we lost 2 matches in a row. I'm sorry. That's okay. You guys, again, you're talking about a team in their last 6 MLS games. You've scored 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 0. Do you think 1 is going to be enough to beat us on Wednesday?
It doesn't.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't really matter, though, because the Galaxy's been in worse shape in previous seasons against LAFC, and we have
much worse,
guys.
Not much worse,
you guys.
So wait. What I'm hearing is, hold on. This is my favorite.
Trafico, it really doesn't matter, does it?
So what I'm hearing from the Galaxy Guy podcast is, Carson, at least it's not Pasadena. Carson, don't worry, we've been worse in other seasons. And Carson, at least we only lost 3-1 to Dallas. Hey, support the Galaxy.
Carson, we have a trophy full of. We have a case
there it
full
goes.
of trophies.
History lesson. History.
All right,
Looking over the
let me ask you this. All right, with such an anticipated matchup during the week, U.S. Open Cup, right? We already said this is more than just bragging rights. What would it mean, Chris, if obviously if the Galaxy not only just beat LAFC but also win the U.S. Open Cup this year? What does that mean for Galaxy fans?
I think it's going to be a nice. It's been a while since the Galaxy's won a cup, period, right? So it's going to be a little bit of a like a sigh, okay, there's a sigh of relief here. The Galaxy did something positive. It's been a while, but it's really not going to feel as good as it is for LAFC fans because really they have nothing, right? So even something as small as a U.S. Open Cup to them will feel like an MLS Cup. So it's going to feel good if the Galaxy go on to win the entire event. But, I mean, it's the U.S. Open Cup. Yeah, it'd be all right.
Okay, he's kind of downplaying it a little bit. JR, same question. What would this mean? Obviously, we know LAFC has won the Supporters Shields. There's so much talent in LA, in LAFC. Like I said, both teams have aspirations. But what would this mean on a win on Wednesday to not just beat Galaxy, but also have the opportunity to win a trophy, Open Cup trophy?
I love that Chris so myopically only looks at it as a way to put a trophy in our case, because the other thing that it allows us to do is to go to the CONCACAF Champions League, to play on a much larger stage, on a world stage, something that the Galaxy haven't done in I don't remember how long, and something that we did not too long ago. And if not for a bogus Memo Ochoa headbutt on Edward Atuesta, we very likely become the first MLS team to win. But you know what? We didn't do it, so you can't talk about it, right? That's Chris's thing. Well, getting there doesn't really matter. I want to know. This would be so much fun to watch, like how Chris, like parents, like, I know you took your first 2 steps, son, but because you didn't run today, it doesn't really matter all that much. Come back to me when you run. Don't worry about it, son. Like, right? So my thing is this: would it mean something for us to win our first trophy? Absolutely. Does it matter if it's MLS Cup or US Open Cup? I'll say it matters whichever one comes first, and then we'll get our next one, right? We haven't gotten one in 5 years. But that being said, hey, hold on. Put up Fernando's one more time there, Gio.
What do you say, Fernando?
Yeah, he doesn't speak for all Galaxy fans. All of us want this trophy. It's a guaranteed trip to the Champions League.
I never said we didn't want it.
You know what else didn't speak to all of your fans? This, Chris. You might not be that guy anymore.
Dude, that is flattering. It is so flattering. JR, it is flattering that in this economy, listen, those are colored, those are full colored pictures. In this economy, JR, those pictures are like $50, man.
I mean,
that's about you could have paid for parking at LAFC games.
Yeah, you bring it all around.
Chris,
you got to frame them, laminate them, put them on your refrigerator, and then you can see them every day.
He did come prepared with the props. He said you're not that guy anymore, pal. Like that. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Chris? Are you still that guy?
Matt, listen, I am the guy that supports the best team historically in LA, the only team that matters outside of LA, really, because you ask any players outside of LA, any soccer players, so many interviews where we've seen players get asked, would you like to go to MLS to play? They're like, yeah, I would love to go play for the Galaxy, Nobody cares about LAFC outside of LA, guy. Nobody cares about LAFC outside of Exposition Park. You guys are very irrelevant in the broader picture. MLS teams don't respect LAFC. They see you guys and your fan base as pretenders, right? And so until you guys win some cups, and not just a supporter shield, I don't think you guys will be seen as anything other than just pretenders.
Like,
Jay, I gotta ask you,
pretending? Like pretending.
I'm just saying. I had a lot of fun that day. I
gotta ask you, when you saw that video and you saw all that, what went to your mind? Because you keep I'm showing those images and stuff like that. Were you smiling? Were you happy?
Obsessed, man.
I laughed. I laughed my ass off, Gio, and I'll tell you why. Not at the poop jokes, not at the humor that whoever wrote that for Chris was giving him, but here, please tell me you wrote that yourself. Oh my goodness. All I want to say is this. I've said it at the top, and I'll say it here now that we're sort of wrapping things up. To wear the Herbalife sash across my chest I would have to be told that I was curing cancer, sending kids to college, giving somebody a home, something. Not to make a sad poop video, a parody about what it's like to support a team. What I love about it is that you wore our crest on your chest. That just wouldn't, Chris. I wouldn't even.
I'm wearing it still.
I bet you, by the way, about a scarf, and you kind of left me on red on Instagram. I was ready to come. I said, "Hey, when are we gonna?" I lost a bet for a scarf, right?
Hold on.
And I was trying to get back. Do you want me to show you?
I gotta add, because you brought a good point, Jr. You did lose a bet last season that you've yet to do. So you do gotta
naughty Jr.
Buy a Galaxy scarf and wear it. I think.
Yeah, no, completely. Look, I remember losing the bet.
So we got to do it this Wednesday. I think that's Wednesday. You got to buy a Galaxy scarf and wear it. Because I don't know if you want to wear it at the game or how.
No. I just said I would buy it. By the way, I just said I would buy it.
Don't forget video evidence. We have to bring the video evidence. But
so here we go.
We got a VAR this.
February 4th. February 4th is when I messaged you. Right there, trying to make it happen. I'm a man of my word. February 4th. What happened?
Hey, man, you don't need me to hold your hand to buy a scarf, man. Just buy the scarf.
He was scripting this.
Man of your word, JR.
No, I said I would go with
man of your word.
And Gio said, "Hey, I want to put it on film, so I want to film it. I want to do it for the gram." I was ready. I was ready to purchase a scarf, and then if there is a little kid in that scarf in the LA Galaxy team store right there, I would turn right around, hand it to the little kid, and say, "There you go. There's your scarf." I have no problem doing that.
We got to wear it. We'll look what the details were. I don't know if we have to go back, but yeah, the scarf has to do that. Well, hopefully we get that done on Wednesday. But yeah, no, there's a lot of different things there. And Chris, I gotta ask you, do you regret doing that video? Is there any part of you regretting?
Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. I go back to the old Reddit days when I used to spend most of my days making memes and trolling people on Reddit. It was fun back when there was Chivas USA still. It was fun. Listen, it's just business as usual for me. You know, if people got butthurt over it, I mean, dude, come on, it's a video. Get over yourself. You know what I mean?
Were you
plain and simple? I had fun.
Yeah,
and people enjoyed it. So, you know, Twitter's not real world.
Hey, look, fair enough. Yeah. Because it did go crazy around the LA soccer world here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was it was a good thing that happened because I didn't know where this was gonna go, but I'm glad. Andy says, "Chris, no regrets."
Andy,
no regrets.
That's funny, Andy.
JR, give me. We're gonna wrap things up here. Give me your score predictions for Wednesday. Score.
Yeah, I think we flipped the score line last time that we played there. I think it's 2-1 LAFC this time, and I think it is clearly a much more hard-fought victory because I do absolutely agree with Chris when I say you can throw the records out when these two teams play. It doesn't matter. Run of form. I think Carlos gets one, and I think we're going to see a player like Mamadou Fall, somebody coming in on a set piece. We've been very, very good on set pieces. In fact, I think we're the best in the league on set pieces. And if it's not one of those two guys, I'm telling you right now, we've had 10 goals come off the bench via substitutes. And I just love our depth. I love what we bring from minute 1 to minute 90. But I think it'll be Carlos Vela. And if not Mamadou Fall, then we're going to see a substitute. Hopefully, if somebody gets healthy, I really want Franco Escobar to be healthy or Ismail Tajuri-Shradi, one of those guys. And I think it'll be a 2-1 victory for LAFC. Our first time beating them.
Okay. That would be big. That would be big. And anything can happen on Wednesday. Chris, score predictions and who's scoring the goals on Wednesday for the Galaxy?
I think it's going to be a lot of the same. 2-1 for the LA Galaxy. The LA Galaxy is going to win this game. I mean, that's not, me just blindly throwing a dart. That's just kind of like how it goes for these games, I think Chicharito is going to get a goal because he's proven to be the better Mexican superstar when it comes to El Traficos. So if they're healthy, Carlos Vela and Chicharito, I definitely see Chicharito stepping up to the plate as we've seen him do before. And I would not be surprised if we see Douglas Costa get a goal on Wednesday. So I think it'll be a 2-1 victory. The Galaxy will come out on top of this. But listen, with that said, we have to feel privileged, and we have to be excited for this game, because it really is a privilege to have both of these teams in LA playing for something that's so meaningful, right? It's a cup game, small cup, whatever it is. It's a cup game, and these games are always exciting. So we as the fans benefit from this, because it's always an exciting game, win or lose. It's great. So it's going to be a fun Wednesday.
Yeah, Yasmin on YouTube says it's gonna be 2-2 on PKs. I hope it's not PKs. I want a definite. I prefer a definite winner, but
The Galaxy doesn't draw, man. Galaxy
comment
doesn't
below
draw
who you guys think is gonna win, because I think there's so many things about this game. Just because obviously Galaxy, coming in, they've had some shows last 2 games. But this, like I say, it could revamp them and get things going for the rest of the season. For LAFC, I know they had a 2-game losing streak, then they won in that 8 to 10 hour rain delay that it seemed like, and got the win. But yeah, I gotta ask you, because what did you think of that call? That I think it was a reporter on Vela's goal, that it was like it seemed like he was just falling asleep watching the game.
Well, no, you got to remember what happened was they had the Liga MX playoff games happening at the same time, and because of the rain delay or the lightning delay, whatever it was, what happened was they're doing all those games from a studio. Those guys weren't there at the match, so you had a guy kind of thrust in. I felt awful for him, to be honest. It was, the whole second half, it was just him, and I felt like that was more of that's on MLS, like that. The fact that they strung everything out the way that they did. The rain delay, everything else. Look, at the end of the day, we came away with 3 points and we're all the better for it. But that poor guy, that is not what he signed up for that day. I don't even know that he was part of the broadcast team that started off the match. If he was the color guy, and he's sitting in a studio probably 2,500 miles away from where the action is happening, having to call it. And clearly it was rough for him. That was tough.
Yeah, I think the lack of energy calling a goal like that, it was bizarre.
Look at the second goal is even worse.
Yeah, it was just bizarre with the energy and stuff. Hopefully the MLS is able to get that fixed for whatever the reason, because a lot of that is when you're watching a game, it doesn't make it as entertaining. It kind of bores you, and you should never be bored unless it's a boring game. But when someone scores and is winning, that should never be part of that. But yeah, we're gonna wrap with that. Chris, everybody in the comments, JR, I appreciate you guys hopping on. We got to make that happen. Buying the scarf on Wednesday. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how we can set that up. We'll be doing fun LAFC versus Galaxy fan interviews on the parking lot, walking around. So if you guys are interested in getting interviewed or giving your take on the games, DM me on Instagram. We can make that happen, and I'll let you know where I'll be. I just walk around. And try to ask people their opinions and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad we were able to do this. But once again, Chris, JR, and everybody in the comments, and we'll get to you guys next time. And enjoy the game on Wednesday if you guys are going.
Yes, take it easy.
Later, guys.
Take it easy,
Take care, man.
Later,
See you guys.
guys.